Hey, entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind. And you're probably looking for a few ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Reiner. I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for a future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale ready business creates a win win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I look forward to sharing strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have exciting news. Please mark your calendar. June 17th, I've got an amazing business acceleration event coming up on Saturday morning, June 17th, where myself and 3 other experts are going to be sharing 12 costly profit-killing mistakes that are stalling your growth. Join us for just 2 hours with 4 experts and 12 powerful strategies that will accelerate your business. Hey, it only takes one change to change your business in your life. One little itty bitty change. And we're giving you 12. So the registration page just opened up this week, and I've got a special discount code for you. Enter SUPER, and SUPER with a capital S, and you will get 75% off the registration price. So register today at joinaccelerate.now.com. All right. So I am so excited to have my friend on with me today. So Mike Capuzzi is an author, nonfiction book coach, and short book publisher for business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs looking to leverage the power of being a short, helpful book author. Since 1998, Mike has been helping thousands of business owners to market their business smarter. Bite-Sized Book is his book publishing company, founded by his proven formula for creating short, helpful books, also known as Shooks, for business owners, entrepreneurs, and corporate leaders. Shooks are the ideal type of book to publish because they're easy to create and fast to read in about an hour or so, and offer helpful ways for readers to connect with their author. Mike is the author of, 19 books, including 2 international Amazon bestsellers, The 100-Page Book and The Magic of Short Books. He is also the host of another podcast that I was just a guest on, or about to be a guest on. It's called the Author Factor Podcast, where he interviews business owner authors and shares best tips, wisdoms, insights, and how they write and leverage nonfiction business books. Mike, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Marcia, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
You're so welcome. This is exciting. So we've had some really interesting conversations over the past few days. I think that with the launch of my most recent book, Boosting Business Profit, just went live this week, and I was honored to be a guest on your show. And it's been a neat journey with writing books, and I know that this is your jam and what you talk about. And I'm so excited to have you share it with the audience because I know it's so valuable on it. But come on, how in the world did you get into writing? And I love your name, Shooks.
Marcia, it goes back to, honestly, when I was a kid. My mom's mom, she was about 2 hours away. So when we traveled to visit her, it was an ordeal. So we would be up there for a couple of days, and she had this huge library in her house. And honestly, she was the one that got me created my love for books. I mean, it was 50 some odd years ago. And we'd travel up there, and as soon as we got there and unpacked, I'd go into the library and pull off a new book because she was always buying books. So I've always had a love for books. And as I got older, I actually studied engineering in college. I did that for years, all that kind of good stuff. I was always in a very technical role before moving into a marketing role when I started my own business. But, it moved from a love of books, Marcia, to a dream of writing a book. And I can remember distinctly 20 years ago or so, just thinking, oh my God, it'd be so cool to be an author, but There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. I just couldn't see myself doing it. But long story short, when you put your mind to it, when you study what other people do, when you study, different ways of doing things, it's not as big a deal. I think when you shared it on my podcast, it's not that hard. Now we're talking nonfiction. I don't know if I could do fiction yet, but I started and I haven't stopped. And not only have I published 19 of my own books, I've helped over 230 business owners, corporate leaders publish their books. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing it, and that's where we are today.
Wow, 19 books. That's impressive. Kudos to you on that.
Well, you know what, Marcia, though, that's kind of easy when they're shorter books, right? So whereas maybe one book could have been, 3 of my short books could have been one traditional business book, but it's still a pretty neat accomplishment.
Wow, I love it. I love it. So why is it so important for business owners to have a book under their belt, right? I mean, I know why I did it, but why do you think it's important?
Yeah, and I call that the author factor. You mentioned my podcast. That's why I named the podcast the way it is. It's a very real thing, the author factor. For a lot of businesses and business owners and corporate leaders, there is an appreciation by consumers, by prospects, to want helpful educational information. Again, I think you mentioned that when I was interviewing you, that the importance of educating and people are looking for that kind of content. So I call that an information first strategy. So books obviously are a perfect information first marketing device, white papers, ebooks. I typically am talking, traditional books, paperbacks, hardcovers, et cetera. So there's an appreciation, first of all, by the consumer. If you look at the individual, the business owner, the corporate leader, there's a very real effect that happens once they create a quality book, a quality helpful book that can help people. And, it raises his or her authority. It allows, them to market differently. Just like you were a guest on my podcast, you can go on podcasts as a guest, you can keynote. I mean, when you join what I call the book author club, it really does open up doors that you would never have had otherwise until you became a book author. So you're helping people, Marcia, you're serving readers, you're serving your business. It's a very cool thing, as you well know, that when you get that printed copy from Amazon or wherever you're getting your books, it's like, it's even all these years later, right? You're holding it up again. It's cool, isn't it, when you see that?
It really is. I didn't know I was part of a club though. That's pretty cool. Now I've got,
Yeah.
now I'm
you don't have your secret card?
I need to get my membership card. No, that's really awesome. So it is a huge accomplishment in it. But I think what scares business owners away and corporate leaders and those that really have this thing in their head that ought to be put out into the public realm. Because I think that really it's going to help somebody out there, and it helps you at the same time that you put it out there. But it's not all that hard, is it?
It can't. Well, first of all, I think people make it a lot harder than it really needs to be. They really do. I had a gentleman this is a funny story. I had a gentleman about a year ago right now on my podcast. And it took him 7 years from starting his first book, 7 years to finally get it done.
Oh my God.
I interviewed him about that book. He learned about our short, helpful books. And Marcia, wouldn't you know it, almost 3 months to the day of us recording our podcast interview, he had published the second book. And he said, I'm never, ever going to take years, because you don't know what you don't know. You overcomplicate it. When we work with clients, we have a very clear roadmap, a very clear process, and what goes where, what should go there. So whether it's me, whether it's other book coaches, there are formulas, there are recipes out there to follow. Again, we're talking typically nonfiction, business-oriented content.
Of course.
And it does not have to be that hard. And then when you combine that, Marcia, with the fact that our shooks are about 12 to 15,000 words, whereas, even your book is probably closer to 40 or 50,000. A lot of business books are even 100,000 words, 200, 300 pages. Ours are about 100 pages. It makes it that much easier. So there's a win-win. I mean, I love longer books. There's always a reason. I just read a 400 or 500 page book recently, but it took me a lot longer than an hour. But there's definitely reasons for those kind of books. So I'm not poo-pooing them. For a lot of consumers, for a lot of prospects, a short book is a nice, attractive promise. I can read it in an hour. And for the author, it just makes it that much easier.
I love it. I love it. And, for those authors that are potential authors that are sitting back there going, well, I don't really have anything to say. And I'm like, you're wrong, because you do something every day in your business that other people want to pay you for. Or maybe it's a framework or a process or a concept or an idea or a shortcut. I mean, there's so many different topics you can use in business books, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we call it the special sauce. Every business owner has their own special sauce. And it may take some work to uncover it, because again, especially when business owners are working in a vacuum, which is why folks like yourself that help people see through the trees of, what's in front of them, they don't see that. So when you work in a vacuum, you may not understand what makes you unique, what makes you special. But once that can be uncovered, Marcia, then you can build a brand around that. You can build a whole framework. You can build a whole series of books, whatever it might be. But it takes work. And I don't care if you're a pizza shop owner or a world-renowned surgeon. What you do is important. You're helping people in some way, whether it's feeding them or curing some ill. And crafting a book around that is a very smart strategy.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so now that we know that it's easy to do, I've got at least, and funny enough, I just launched my third book, right? So actually, I probably have 2 or 3 more books sitting back in the back of my mind. And I know that once you get the juices flowing, you can create multiple books. But I love the idea of your Shooks, and it's such a great name. But your Shooks, because they're a single idea or a single concept,
right. And
we know that I could stack them up into volumes of books, because once, you can get more and more out there. So I think that's the easy idea to it. Is it's just you're breaking down a single concept or an idea that is important or helped you in a way. To do it. And with your easy framework, why aren't you doing it?
Right. And again, not only is it attractive to the reader, which is obviously, as an author, your main goal is to serve the reader, correct? So that's a primary goal when you're looking outward. It's a very strict, when you really start getting into the strategy of marketing and copywriting and messaging, or see, it's much more powerful, versus me writing a book on marketing, for example, Mike Capuzzi's marketing book, which could be 1,000 pages, for example. I would be much better served.
And 3 volumes of it, 1,000 pages, right?
I would be much better served to have 10 100-page books, direct mail marketing, newsletter marketing, email marketing, because then people can pick and choose. So now they're getting what they want immediately. Right. But also, you as the marketer, it allows you to market differently. So now you have 10 opportunities versus 1, and you can have very specific language. I mean, in this day and age, and I'm sure you go through this with your clients, people have to understand, what you're about pretty quickly. There's not a lot of time to think, okay, what's Mike trying to convey here? So it's got to be succinct. It's got to be, focused. And I really just believe the more focused, the tighter the message, the more someone says that book was written for me, the better served you're going to be.
So let's flip that around, because that was really good about having the audience connect with the author. But why is the author doing the book? I think that's really important, because I wrote my books because it gave me a tool to introduce my concepts to my audience, and it made me the expert. But I know there's a lot more into it that you had just allayed to with marketing, right? Your book could be a tool.
Oh, it is. Actually, we call it an asset. It's not, your financial background. It's an asset. It's not an expense. Mm-hmm. It's not on the expense item. It is an asset that, if you do it correctly, I believe can last for, if not years, decades. I mean, I've had folks on my podcast that have written books 10, 15 years ago, and they're still using them. I mean, behind me is my first book, published in 2007, and we still use it. So it is an asset. It should be thought of as an asset. And then it becomes up to you, the author, Marcia, on all the different ways. As a matter of fact, very close to when this episode airs, I am actually bringing to the public for the first time a book that I privately published. So there's also really cool things you can do with private books, like books that only clients could get, or books that are only gotten a certain way. They're not on Amazon. They're not in bookstores. Well, I published a book a couple of years ago, and I dusted it off. I cleaned it up, put new ideas in. It's called The Magic of Free Books. And it's going to be live sometime around when this episode airs. And it's probably 75 different ways for business owners, entrepreneurs, and corporate leaders to leverage a book. Everything from podcast guesting to PR there's just, that is, and this personally, once the book is done, which oftentimes is the easiest part of the equation, it now is up to you to use it day in and day out, lead gen, follow-up, speaking, whatever it might be. That's where the real money is to be made. That's how you make money with free books, by the way.
Yeah, love it. And there's so many things that you can do. And what it does is it separates you from everybody else in your space because you're an author, right? And you can use that as the credentials behind your name, right? When you start getting all those acronyms, if you're in the professional services world, but it up levels you in a way that nothing else I've ever seen does. You wrote a book, you talked about something, you printed it, you had someone review it, right? And you put it out there, but you just stepped head and shoulders above your entire competition because you're a published author.
Yep.
It's amazing.
For sure.
It's amazing. All right. So looking at books, and we're talking about, you don't need to be a bestseller, right? You don't need to get on Amazon or the New York Times bestseller list because that can be quite a challenge in itself. I mean, you're just going to carry the book around for you or give it to clients or prospective clients or share with your friends and family or just to have it out there, right? Because it's just a fantastic tool. But what are some of the do's and don'ts we want to have with writing books?
By the way, when you mentioned what you're describing, just very quickly, so hopefully I don't forget your question, but I would say 2/3 of our clients are local business owners, the physician, the dentist, the chiropractor, whatever. And then about 1/3 are folks like you and me that have more of a worldwide audience. So for the local business owner, oftentimes they just want to be what I call be 5 Mile famous. They want to be known as the dentist in their town that maybe performs a unique procedure or cleaning or whatever it might be. I mean, I've worked with dentists that don't use any kind of mercury or fluoride. So that was their book was about that. So yeah, this idea of you don't need to be a bestseller. Again, 2/3 of our clients aren't even on Amazon. They have boxes of books, they give them out, they display them in their office, whatever it might be.
Nice.
They network, they bring them. So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a business card on steroids. So do's and don'ts. I would say the very first major don't, Marcia, again, goes back to what you and I have talked about on my podcast. Don't overcomplicate this. Really. If you are in business, chances are you're already helping people, like you said. This is just a conversation in writing, right? In written word format. And God forbid, man, now with AI and all the stuff I'm seeing out there.
Right.
It's just crazy what these tools are doing. It scares me because it's like almost too easy now. But regardless, it is a conversation in the written word. It's stories, it's ideas, etc. So don't overcomplicate it. If you help people, you can write a book.
Love it.
The other thing is technology has made it so much easier. Amazon's made it so much easier. All the different tools that are out there, the design tools, et cetera, et cetera. The book that I just mentioned, The Magic of Free Books, I put some quotes of mine in there from my podcast and stuff. And I think, and I'm going to paraphrase, I said there's no reason not to publish a book today other than 2 things, excuses and procrastination. And that's the reality. Like there is no technical hurdles. It's cheap. It's inexpensive to do. Yeah, you might want to work with a book coach. Yeah, you're going to want to work with an editor, a copy editor, et cetera, a designer.
Yes, you are.
Still not anywhere near. Yeah. But it's still not, it doesn't have to be this, $25,000 investment. So don't overcomplicate it. Write good content. That's why we put the word helpful in Shook, short, helpful book. I know a lot of folks say it doesn't matter. Maybe they'll never read it. If it's a 100-page book, they are more apt to read it. But you don't want to go in, and I know book coaches that say this, like, oh, it doesn't matter. You just want a book. You just want to hand it to them, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that. The only way it helps people, the only way it serves people is if it's quality content that, is designed to do that. So write a good book. Doesn't have to be, the next Shakespearean novel or something like that, but, invest in the time and energy, invest in a good copy editor. And then the last thing I'd say with a do is, and again, I alluded to this, is get good professional design. I've seen people publish books, from Microsoft Word and, PowerPoint or whatever. And it's like, ugh, like you only get one chance to make a first impression. And in business, it's too easy to say, what the heck? And so make sure it's a good design.
Exactly. Good design in there. And, you brought up some really good points, and my coulda, shoulda, wouldas are definitely, my first book still has some spelling errors in it, and some challenges with it. But with technology, it's so easy, but you need to know what is the purpose of you writing a book, right?
Yes.
What are your
Yes.
intentions? I promise you, you will not become a millionaire for writing a book. Not going to happen. So take that out of your mind, right? And now the next thing that you think you're going to do with it is it's going to make you a 5 mile, 5 mile famous. I love that. That's fantastic. Or it's going to give you a glorified business card or something along those lines. But think about what the intention is of the book, what the purpose of using it is, and then write from that angle. And I think one of the funniest things that always got me was looking at the cursor, right? The blank screen. And it's like, where do I start? I can't think. When I was 3, and you start typing and you're like, ew, nobody wants to know about when you were 3 unless it's important to how at 3 you became a rock star and that led to all your millions you're making. But I mean, people like you have a format and a framework that makes it so stinking easy to put together, right? I mean,
yes, we do. Yes.
So give me a little bit of ideas on the framework and the angles we come at, and let's show them how easy it is.
Yeah. So for the last 20 plus years, I have put food on my table, for my family's table, by helping business owners with marketing. And most of that marketing is direct response marketing. So it's a different type of marketing. It's very trackable. It's very, you're always putting in a reason for people to respond, et cetera, et cetera.
These are the old newsletters and the flyers that were snail mailed to you originally.
Yeah,
now they've evolved.
They were direct response.
They've evolved.
Yep. I mean, the bottom line is with direct response, unlike, let's say, traditional brand advertising, which has its place also, is there's always a reason to respond included, whether it's an ad, a newsletter, an email, whatever. Our Shooks are direct response books. So I know we're on video, Marcia, but this is my brand new, matter of fact, I'm going to give it to your listeners at the end, this and 2 other Shooks. But The Magic of Short Books, this has been out for a couple of years. We just dusted it off, new cover. But right on the very first page, I give a bonus gift to all the readers. They can QR code it. Now that puts them on my email list, and then I can have a relationship, some sort of relationship with them, and they can get to know me better than just the book. So the formula we use is a direct response formula. It's first and foremost. So, and you can see, I literally in this book, which I'm giving away for free, I give you step by step every piece of the puzzle. By the way, this book follows every piece of that puzzle, every component of that recipe, so you can see it in action.
Love it.
Everything from the front cover to the back cover and everything in between. But we break it up. The one part I'll articulate is the main content, whether you're a certified financial planner or whatever it is you're writing about, tax savings, retirement, et cetera. That goes in the main matter. That's your 5 to 7 main chapters on the topic, your special sauce, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is bookended, Marcia, by the beginning of the book, the front matter. And there we kind of say, who's this book for? My promise to you. Like you'll see it, when you read the Magic of Short books. And then there's a part of the book, which a lot of nonfiction book authors shy away from, mainly because they don't know. But the back part of the book, the back matter, is where you go from helpful content to helpful selling. So now this is a sales tool for me, right? It encourages readers who might want to work with me to reach out for a Zoom meeting with me. It tells you how to do that very specifically. It tells you the kind of people we work with. They're actual clients.
Love it.
That woman there is super successful. She sold like 3,000 copies of her book the first week we published it, but she had a big audience. There's a dentist down in Texas. He's 5 Mile famous. But anyway, so very strategic, Marcia. None of this, like I have an engineering background, so all of this is well thought out. I encourage all of my clients, people who read this book, to use this recipe. And you won't, that blank flashing cursor, that blank page, it's not as overwhelming when you know what you should be writing.
Oh, that's fantastic, right? And if it's short enough, you can write it quickly. You can tell the stories and the pieces in there. And so that's it. I mean, when I wrote my first book, Big Profit Secrets Exposed, the back one, I actually had a whiteboard, and I kind of followed loosely the concept that you're talking about. But I thought, okay, there's my biggest idea was, income minus expenses equals profit. Ooh, I mean, I was like, I'm going to trademark that somewhere. Wrong. But I mean, I gave valuable information that they can do. But what I did is I wrote it up on a grease board or a chalkboard or a notepad to kind of frame it out first.
Yep.
And that's what you just explained to us, putting a frame together or a step-by-step strategy on how to write the book. Then next thing you know, you're just filling in your expertise on it and the gaps that needed to have it. And then you've got a book. You're famous because you now have a book. That's why I love this conversation, not just because I've just released my 3rd book and I'm probably starting on my 4th one, very soon. But I mean, it's that easy when you can see the pieces on how they belong, and following your methodology, Mike, just makes it even that easier to have a real quality tool asset that you can use that puts you head and shoulders above your competition.
Yeah.
It's crazy why you wouldn't do this.
And exactly, Marcia. I mean, that's why I have my podcast. I try to, I interview folks like you who've done it just to encourage people. The world does, there are people out there that want what you have, that need what you have, that want to read about what you have. And if you're not serving those people, then they're going to look elsewhere. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's it can definitely be a win-win for sure. And can I mention one other thing?
Heck yeah.
Okay, real quick. I just want to, because I get geeky with this stuff. So this is a book I just bought. I haven't read it yet. It's typical. This is a hardcover. So, but you see, it's a traditional business book, right? So our
Allison Maslin, was that Allison's book?
Yeah.
I know her. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I just got her book.
That's just a repurposed book because so you can repurpose this time and time again and make it fresh again.
Well, that's true too, right? What I wanted to show was our shooks are a little different size than a traditional business book. So that's first. Mm-hmm. So that is like, it's a little, again, I thought this out. It's a little more attention grabbing. But here's what's really cool, Marcia. We also have a formatted book, and this gentleman's a very successful CEO of a business in Arizona. We have these things we call pocket shooks, which are even smaller. So he just did this little book. It's written for like college students, et cetera, called Money Secrets. He wanted to impart his wisdom, but
it's even smaller.
It's smaller. It's easier. He's coming up with a whole series of these little books. By the way, there was back in the early 1900s, there was a gentleman who published over 2,000. They called them, if you search it out, called the Little Blue Book. I think they're called Little Blue Books of Success or whatever, but they're little books on like 2,000 different topics, and they were used for all kinds of purposes. But my point in sharing that, Marcia, is it doesn't have, you can think differently if you don't have a ton of, this is just a little book of like quotations and simple
Yep.
ideas because it's written for young people. And that's how you wanted to reach out to them.
Wow. Wow, there's so many options. Think about business cards, right? Remember when brochures used to be out? Oh my gosh, brochures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Trifolds and all those different
Yeah.
things. Well, it is a glorified business card that you can put out that imparts a combination of your website and your intellectual property and some strategy or concept that you feel passionate about. And it's a beautiful piece. Business cards today, they're rounded edges, square, long, upward,
Metal,
sideways,
wood.
metal, wood, yeah, platinum, I mean, you can do all sorts of things with it, and it's the same style with books, is that you can put it out there in a different way. By the way, love the QR code in front of the book. That is brilliant. And I'm going to steal that from the next book because I think that's brilliant.
I'm sure I stole. Oh, you know what? I stole from this guy because look,
right?
first page.
Oh my
right?
God, QR book from the little blue book, right? Or the little guy. So, no, that's fantastic. There's so many ideas on here. And I think this is what the conversation really, truly needed to be. My goodness, if you are in business for any reason whatsoever, if you're a plumber, what are the 5 or 10 tips that everybody should know so they don't need you to come into the house at midnight on a Saturday night charging double price, right? Triple price. I mean, there's anything could have a book around it that you can impart, that you can give to your audience, you can give to your clients, prospective clients, and separate you from the pack, because that's what books do for you. And I would encourage you to find people like Mike that could help you out, put it into a framework, make it easy, make it a shook for your first one, even your second, third, fifth, 10th one that you build out. And you're going to be that person. And who knows, you may even be 10 Mile famous.
You could very well be. Yeah.
Mike,
Marcia, real quick.
Yeah, please.
I just want to share. I don't know. I just got to share this quote again. I geek out on this stuff. I don't know if you're. I was never a Grateful Dead fan. Believe it or not, this is a Jerry Garcia quote. It's going to put a bow tie on everything we just shared. Jerry Garcia said, "It's not enough to be the best at what you do. You must be perceived as the only one who does what you do." Ooh. And when you become a book author, you can really start becoming that expert, authority, recognized expert. And I just thought that was a great quote to kind of round out what you were just saying. So thank you very much.
I love Jerry Garcia. Yep. The Grateful Dead's always a fun conversation to end on. But hey, Mike, where can listeners find out more about you, Shooks, easy, short, helpful books, getting their author journey started or finished, so they're not 6-7 years away?
Our corporate site is bite-sized with a D, bitesizedbooks.com. However, with your permission, I'm going to give a gift. So I mentioned the magic of short books. I also have the magic of working together and the magic of gratitude. These are 3 shooks, which your reader or your listeners can become readers. So if they go to mikecapuzzi.com/magic, they can get that magic kit. And I'll send it. It's an email. You'll be able to read them right online. It's really cool. They're the full book, and you can read it there, read it on your phone, whatever it is, and hopefully inspire you to do your own shook.
I love it. I love it. All this will be in the podcast notes, listeners, so you can follow Mike and get them. This has been a fantastic conversation. And listeners, I hope you found an idea or two that you can use in your business as I lose my voice, because it's so important that you elevate yourself, right? Profitability, business growth, marketing, everything is based on you standing out from the pack. And having a book will help you stand out from the pack. And I know that Mike's tips and ideas and tactics and frameworks are exactly what you need to get that wheel moving. So go check Mike's stuff out. So here's a friendly reminder. Join my friends and I for Accelerate Now on Saturday, June 17th. Remember, it's 2 hours, 4 experts, 12 strategies that will accelerate your business. It only takes 1 tip to change the course of your business and your life, and we're giving you 12 to choose from. So the registration page just opened, and I've got a discount code for you. Don't forget to enter SUPER with a capital S for a 75% off discount code. Guys, that's $27. I mean, that's nothing. So register today at Join Accelerate Now. And Mike and I would love to hear your questions. Tell us your idea for your book. Give us your title of your book. Tell us what you're doing, and we will respond. So make a comment in the comments area and tell us what you're doing so we can cheer you on, help direct you, and maybe even help promote the next greatest author out there of business books and shooks. While you're at it, please subscribe. You don't want to miss future podcasts. And you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thank you for seeing me.